All the smart people sit in the front row.
You guys can sit up.
Yeah, there are benches, you're allowed to sit on them.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We're going to get started. Thank you very much for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Laurie. I work for Canterbury Basketball. We're very excited this evening that we have a coach of mixed calibre. Wow, I didn't even say that word correctly. Mixed calibre to present on what he's going to present on today, which is something that reflects our regional and national style of play. So I'm sure everyone's going to get quite a lot out of it. Mick, I'll allow you to tell everyone how wonderful you are yourself and all your accomplishments. But yeah, we've got a good mix of video on court and some notes. Our wonderful demonstrators here are ready to go. But thank you very much from the CBA for investing in your ongoing development. We really appreciate it. And thanks for seeing everybody here this evening. You're up.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, firstly. And all the people in the crowd, very familiar faces. Always nervous when you present, with your peers, when you're talking with your peers about it. But the cool thing is I love basketball and I know the people here love basketball. So we've got a good starting point. The context of tonight is we're going to use half-court defense as like the platform. So we're not going to talk about defensive transition or extended D or disruption D. Everything is just going to be around half-court. And it's a bit on the tactics, like I'll teach some closeouts and on the ball, and again, it's just the way I do things. A lot of it is aligned to Basketball New Zealand's national style of play, or the way, I guess, the messaging. Some of it's not, some of it's just a little bit of my own, I guess, over my journey experience of where I've arrived at right now. I'm sure it'll change in the next couple of years, but there'll be some examples of skills, a few drills. The big thing, because we're coaches, is to think about the type of drills that we do. Are they actually achieving the outcome? So are they providing an environment for the prioritised skills that we want to work on, and the types of decisions, like the manipulations or the constructs of the drill, are they actually achieving what we're trying to do in that little block of time? So it's a bit more around the coaching, I guess, delivery or the framework of the drills that get your critical coach's eye on, and have a look and dig into that and go, yeah, I like that, not too sure if I'd do it that way. And then at the end, obviously, we've got some time for questions. So I've told the girls, because they wanted to watch video, I gave them the choice to warm up, but they said they actually wanted to sit here and watch the video with us, so is that fair enough? So we're going to do just a couple of little things here, and then after we'll watch the video together, and I've literally got like 2 or 3 minutes of video, then we've got an activity as the coaches that we'll do while the girls warm up, and then after that we'll basically treat it like a training session. So hopefully within like a 45-minute to 50-minute window, we can build things up from like a one-on-0, one-on-one perspective into some advantage, disadvantage drills, and then into some team concepts by the end of it, if we're on track. Okay, but I do appreciate you giving up 3.5 hours on a Tuesday night to come down. All right. So first thing, Halfcourt Defensive Foundations. So just with the person next to you, just have a quick chat. When you're putting together, I guess, your season plan, or so whether it's a season like a club season or a school season, if it's a campaign, like you're getting ready to play in a tournament, so provide some context. But when you're putting that together, like what are the absolute like cornerstones or foundations of your half-court defense? So just have a quick chat, little 2-3 minute icebreaker. Okay? Girls, the teams that you play for, share with the person next to you about some of the defensive stuff that's important in your team right now. I'll let you know be working. Are you a pack team, a press team? You've got a close out? Far away. Just one more minute and then we'll wrap it up. And a bunch of coaches talking, you don't shut up, so keep going. Just another 30 seconds or so.
It's almost like I feel like with our team isn't good enough that we can't hide our wings.
Alrighty. I just wrap it up there. You can rain check that conversation if you're midway through a really good point, and at the end have a chat. So I guess one, just a bit of an icebreaker to get people talking, so you're not sitting all night. But the second thing is, like when building your, I guess your defensive foundations, I guess it's important, what's the process you go through to arrive at that? Other than just your experience. So maybe you played, maybe you didn't play in the game, but whatever your experience is in the game is obviously going to contribute or influence to where you've arrived at right now as a coach and what you believe in. But what are some of the other things that can impact how you arrive at putting that sort of framework together of your defence? Does anyone want to just share some ideas? And players, you're in this too, so what else can influence? How does your team play deep?
Make up a big squad.
Make up, so the talent that you have, yep, absolutely. Yep.
The primary outcome that you want from the defensive position.
Yep, so working from this is what we're prepared, or this is what we're working towards.
Yeah.
Yep, so most people now with the analytics, or if you're into that space or you have time to study all that, it's obviously, you know, contested mid-range jumpers are a really good outcome for you, short of a turnover. So, so that article, which this went, Laurie, that went out, didn't it, in the PDF? So there was an article that was published in a European magazine, and in it, it basically goes into what we're going to cover tonight in the clinic. It goes into a lot more detail, but things like heat maps and all the advanced analytics and all that sort of stuff, influencing how you teach closeouts, what your rules are on rotation. So for me, obviously being in a space, maybe the last 10 years or so in the professional space, I've had a lot more, I guess, resources available to be able to really firm up and learn from some amazing people. That's the thing. Kind of figured out and shifted philosophies and all that stuff. So that's what that's about. I thought I'd share that. And it goes into a lot more detail. So you've got that as a PDF. What else have we got? What other things influence how you play defence?
Scout.
Your scout? Okay, and where the scout fits into the big pie of preparation, like how much time do you dedicate to your scout going into the game on the weekend? If you asked any of our players, not this current group, but the previous Rams teams, I'd hope that they would answer about 70-30. So when it talks about getting ready for a game on the weekend, 70% of it is about us, because it is about us. 30%, the way I kind of justify that is we want to give the players enough information or learn from them, the players that have played in the league that want to share. So we need enough to feel like we can go into a game where we're really prepared. But at the end of the day, it's about whatever information we've accrued as a coaching staff on the opposition. The amount that goes back to the players is only about 30% of the time and investment spent. Because the way I figure it, no matter how much practice we do, we'll still only get as good as we can get with our stuff. And as you know, like players and everyone's still trying to remember all your concepts, let alone worrying about the other team. So, so that's sort of our approach. Now, I've coached for coaches that they've said it's sort of 50-50, but I've been in environments where it feels like it's maybe 10 and 90, you know? And in the coaching space you do, like I know in the NBL, in the Aussie NBL, like part of your role, you get this chance to like watch 5 games back, watch every game you played against the guy, get the synergy report, get all of these advanced analytics, and you do all this stuff for one game. And then how much do you actually spend on your drills and your walkthrough and all that actually on the opposition? When you're sitting there going, God, we can't even make the first pass of our offense. You know, we keep breaking down when there's a little bit of denial. So having a philosophy around how much with the scout is going to influence how you run practice is a big one. There's definitely a difference between coach's preparation and then obviously the players. The players have only got so much time. But yeah, that's a really cool one. What else? Any other ideas?
I think one around communication. Like I'll be dealing with and I think a defence that works is a defence that communicates. So probably getting these girls to relate to each other, know each other, understand each other, and communicate so that if they understand what each other does, then they can take it to the right position.
Yeah. I think having a language is really, really important. And again, you can get it. We love coaches. We love changing the language all the time. And if you want to know about cool language, like follow Ross and Zico and those mad scientists that have all the cool, trendy names floating around. But whether it's you know, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, as long as your players clearly understand, you know, what a label. Obviously, you got your labels. So we might say hot means a hot closeout. And that means a whole lot of things to players. You can have high hips. You can run a player off the 3-point line and then chase a drive. Or whether it's just really specific at this exact moment in time on this read, we need you to say either stay or go. So yeah, different labels or direct cues are really important. So at the end of the day, talk is about, and we'll get into it tonight as a bit of a process that we'll talk about. Your language is about the connection and chemistry of your team and the capacity to reduce reaction times, particularly at the defensive end. So offense has the advantage. The way the rules of the game are now, the athleticism and talent of players, there's a lot of biases towards how the game is played at the offensive end. This is if you had a journal here, girls, be an aggressive offensive player, you will get rewarded more times than you don't. Okay? It's the way the game has moved. More possessions, right? Faster game, all that stuff. So being able to communicate on D succinctly. I'm not a big fan, I heard it the other, I don't know where it was it often something about repeating the cue? I don't think you have time to say the same thing 3 times on D. Now you may say something and your teammate doesn't hear it, and you get one more chance to yell it as loud as you can and really direct, and then you've got to move on because the next thing is happening in the game. So just being like crystal clear to the point is really important. All right. Anything else? Anyone? There's some really good ones. Philosophy, communication, scout. Yeah, they're all kind of. The other bit I would say is just the context, right? So is it an event or a league? What's the age of the people that you're coaching? The talent, I guess, within the league and the rules of the league, because different leagues will play different ways. So there's a little bit of that as well around what the environment that you're going to perform in. That has a bit of influence too on it. Cool. Let's watch some video. Hey, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it, Mike. Good energy. We'll come back to this maybe. So just got some examples of just some of the key skills. So we put this on our little account for all the players to watch. Kind of drip feed different pieces of video, a little 1 minute video session. So some of the skills, and by all means, if you want me to stop it, let me know. But back to the start here. So I mean, the first thing is we all know sport, right? 2 teams, the team with possession. So in the half-court defence, like do things that are going to give yourself the best chance to get more possession of the basketball. So plenty of reports to talk about, you know, the team that has the ball more times than the other wins more games. It's as simple as that. It's not rocket science. Okay, so, you know, valuing fighting for possession. And does anyone know who that person is in the fight right there? The two people involved? Yep, one is just retired from international basketball after 15 years. That's Mick Downer, probably one of the greatest warriors to ever bloody put on a jersey, just amazing person. He would come up with that more times than not, and then that's his little prodigy that's come through the ranks, Ruben Tarangi, who's now obviously at the peak of his game. So kind of put that in there to show all of the other young Rams boys were in awe of Mika when we went into that game that night. But I think it's just really cool to show that it doesn't matter who you are, what age you are, you've got to get into the fight. You know, that doesn't take talent, that's just effort. Being first to the floor in loose balls, and then box outs. Being prepared to get in the fight and come up with possession. Especially, who coaches jamming up or tagging up with their basketball? A few people. Put your hand up if you haven't heard of that term. That's all right, just so I get a feel. Because if you haven't heard of it, that's cool. That'll be the next clinic, Laurie. All right. Come back to that. And then just players that are like assertive, like not gambling, but just making calculated risks or know that they've got a green light, you know, if opportunities present. So like having that front foot. This actually came after a missed layup. And just like finding opportunities through the course of 40 minutes without gambling, without fouling. Oh, I did it again, my apologies. I'm a bit rusty with the video. It's been a long off season. And then, so we had a missed layup here, and then you see there's a little bit of a mental break there, the body language isn't great, and then switches on, and then straight into sliding her feet. 6'10", he's got long arms, just slides his feet, keeps his hand active there. The coaches would be happy with that, right, if that happened? If you made a mistake or turned it over, and then they made up for it with some really good D. So, most of those things are really just effort, mental effort to stay in the moment, the focus, and then being ready to go, be ready for the fight. For those that love him, God bless him, Luke Aston, this player, scouting report, not a lockdown defender. People wouldn't describe him as that. Okay, he does lots of other awesome things, but he's not a lockdown defender. This is what he's capable of, though. Have a look at this clip in full time and I'll rewind it. So a couple of things we'll get into is just ball strikes. I know Mel's really big on this, but having active hands, like keeping balance, you know, if there's opportunities there. Personally, I like palms up. I don't really like that, but that's cool. It's just the concept's the same, having active hands. Balls above the head, so climb up and in. Sliding your feet, being able to guard someone, and then cutting them off. And then staying down until they go up to their shot, and then just being late and vertical, not fouling, showing the referees that you're not fouling. There's another one here, just working the ball, using your chest. Turning a dribbler 3 times, building pressure. So, finding the basketball in transition, and then being able to guard it, sliding your feet. And again, none of that's really crazy gambling. It's just having active hands, and it just presents the carriers a little bit loose with it. So, and then first part's great. I think Taylor kind of sells it a little bit, but as players, you've got to get really comfortable with a lot of contact between your elbows, shoulders, your chest, your stomach, like just part of the game. But get used to contact in your trunk, the mid part of your body. And then HAB means hand above ball. So a couple of small micro skills here is, so there's a pick and roll that we guard. And this particular player, Quinton, who's playing for the Rams this year, the #1 work on for him is closeouts. He's actually, not, if you asked him, he said, oh, I'm not that great at it, I'm not consistent at it yet. So it's good to see that he can do it. So he's guarding that, he recovers with a hand above the ball. and the angle that he closes out, he takes away the player's strong hand, slides his feet, puts out the fire. This one here, Jack, that's on the ball here, is always in touch distance. You notice how we're not sitting off more than a hand, we're always there or thereabouts. Slide your feet and contest the mid-range jumper. Say, that was Alan's point. What outcome are you prepared for? We're not going to give up layups, we won't foul unnecessary, and we'll make sure we get a hand up on three. So we take away all the high percentage stuff, and they shoot, they're going to make a ton of those to win the game. And then the skill, referees call, God bless them if anyone referees here, a central part of the game, but referees call what they see, what they think they see. So as a player, if you can show and sell, all right, that your hands aren't in and you're really using your chest, you can get away with a lot. So showing your hands, this is actually really good technique, but hands are up, chest is into the driver, making it a tough shot. So show the referees. Mick Downer made a living of walking under shooters and getting, Dylan Boucher was the same. Just would walk underneath shooters, but his hands are up and he kept moving forward as a foul, but they didn't call it because it looked clean. So your ability to look like a clean defender is really, really important. Here's another one here. Has a tiny little point guard, and he was probably the best at our team in doing this. Timing it, second off the floor. There's a lot of contact there, and he got away with it. And then these things build pressure. Just having your hands active, reading the game, and then getting what we call dead deflections when the ball's picked up, right, getting a deflection. Now, if we end up with a steal, great, maybe it gets knocked out of bounds, maybe it just slows the pass down, but getting deflections is really important. Looking for opportunities. For us, that's not a gamble. So he's in touch distance chasing, it's a loose pass, hand in the passing lane, knocks it down. And the last one is screen. So again, screen situation happens here. Not running into the pick, fighting through, and then being second off the floor, getting on the highlight reel. And the last part, I think it's a bit of a lost part of the game because the game's definitely more spread these days, but there are still, whether they're guards, wings or bigs, players that can finish in the paint and post up, you have to have the ability to sit down and guard somebody. Like that, and especially as it gets close to the basket, what I find these days is people get anxious and they foul a lot, or they get lifted a lot. So just having that confidence to just use an arm bar, use your chest, right, defend that line. For New Zealanders that don't know, the advantage line, I think it's a rugby term. You guys are pretty good at it from what I've been told. But yeah, the advantage line, like just defend that line and don't let the opposition over the advantage. Using your body in a low base, make them shoot a shot over a hand. Here's another one here. Doesn't let him go anywhere, crawls in, contests the shot. Big difference between a 2-foot shot versus, an 8-foot jump hook. All right. Is there any questions about the skills or comments? There's a whole package there of little individual skills. So there's some of the things that we'll be working on when we get on the court shortly. Coaches, very quiet. Anyone got anything? No? I do have one other short video. National style of play is Pack D. We'll have a bit of a chat. We'll do some Pack D drills, but we'll have a chat about some other ways to play defence as well in the half court. Definitely I wasn't a Pack coach for the first 10 years starting out because it was always sideline baseline. Does anyone still coach sideline baseline, or does anyone, who's middle? Who sends everything to the middle? No one? So who's Pack here? But it just gives a show of hands, who coaches Pack defence? Who's a zone coach? No one's brave enough. Oh, okay. No one's brave enough to put their hand up. We're on the South Island, still thriving. So just the first thing around, again, we're on the ball, that's a mismatch, it's a guard versus a big, but just having these players off the ball, for those that may not be familiar with it, but the pack line's like an imaginary line that's pretty much parallel to the three-point line, about 1 metre in. So, right where these guys are standing. I'd say about 1 metre in is this thing called the pack line. So, basically packing it in, limiting pass penetration, post-ups, dribble penetration, pack it in, ball it all off, and then get to three-point shooters on hard closeouts. So these two defenders here was the point of this clip, just showing that when a player's lining up going one-on-one, even though this guy's standing way out here, we don't come out and deny. What would happen if we denied that? One of the players want to answer that? If this defender came out and denied that? Backdoor cut, or what else could happen? What's that? You got a big outside voice for inside?
He has an open lane.
Yeah, if we come out here, there's this big hole here, so we've actually made a big space. So pack D is about shrinking the floor all the time. So anytime a player has the ball, when they look, it's crowded. Yep, we'll get into that too. So here's another one here, I think. It's the ball screen first. And then see where Tony is here? Yeah, so he's not out here chasing his player because they're out deep trying to bait it. He sits in, so he doesn't allow dribble penetration there. And then it doesn't matter what like sort of rules you have, whether you don't like to rotate or you do, whether you're a scramble coach or a rotation coach. So rotation coach is being really specific about your rules. Scramble just being figure it out and hustle. There's lots of different ways to do it, but pretty much any coverage in the world, the nearest player to the ball's got to go to the ball. Like I don't know any other. Like keep it simple. So the nearest player goes. That was this player here. So this player here on the weak side for us is the rover, the person that's got two at the moment. And then the next person, and the next person, and then they shoot a shot. So I mean that's. Yeah, so that was the breakdown. See the breakdown there? Because the game's dynamic, so this is a mistake, isn't it? Look at these two guys here. What do you think's supposed to happen? And hopefully I answer or we talk about your comment. So see that, the little breakdown, the two whites? They went to the ball. So we're in trouble here. To get out of trouble, then we protect the basket, so the nearest guy gets the basket. So they had to make 1, 2, they had to make 3 extra things before they could get their shot. So they didn't just make one pass and got a wide open layup, or one pass, one more pass, got a wide open 3. So great teams in the half court make the other team do one more thing and then another thing. Because every extra action, maybe it's an inaccurate pass, maybe it's a deflection, maybe the player travels with the ball. So the more you make them do stuff, the better chance you got to catch up and then make it 5-on-5 again. And then I missed the start of this clip, but try and tune into Toby Galuli as this player here. So they drive base. One of the things for us is, even if the dribble's alive, if it gets below the backboard, we'll live with just a one-on-one contest. So instead of over-helping, we treat that basically like it's dead, like the ball's been picked up. So, we're going to go slow here. So Toby made a read that Jack had him under control, he wasn't a threat, so instead of coming over here to try and get on a highlight reel and block it, the best thing he could do was go back and get a hand in the lane to his player, take away the pass. So he put this guy under a lot of pressure, and then the same thing on the weak side. Just missed the start of it. So a little drive, he makes a quick read that everything's okay, and he ends up with a deflection. So we again call that a dead deflection. And for us, when we play our pack D, we're in black, so pack D is black, and then when it's dead, it's red. So live or dead, black or red, pack or dead, all the same stuff. So see the dead stance there, hand in the lane, not the body. We don't want to overplay it and give up a back cut. Why? Because we don't want to give up layups. The whole purpose of the offense is not to give up layups. Keep them off the foul line. I mean, first to the floor. It all comes back to the hustle. All right, that's the video session, players. You survived. You did it, and there wasn't any tough questions. All right, Mike, do you want to go down there and do the coordinate warm-up? Thank you. Is everyone still awake? Coffee. I'm bouncing the 2 minutes late. All right. So one of the things I just wanted to talk about was we were experimenting a little bit with like at the last Mainland Eagles camp. We were working on as a coaching group. What is the best way to deliver? How do we simplify the game so players can consume, digest information, and then like basically just accelerate like decision-making process? How can we encourage kids on a court in drills just to make decisions and not be worried about whether it's right or wrong, but actually start talking? So who as a coach has problems with their athletes not talking enough? So how do we, and I think it's just a challenge everywhere. It's like trying to go big and roll. It's the same issue. It's just a headache everywhere in the world, getting young people to talk. So we're open. If you've got great ideas, please feel free to share them. But one of the things we're working on is this little STAR acronym that's on the coaching notes. And so when we're actually coaching or using questioning to players, is talk to the players about what did you see? You need to see first, right? You've got to have your eyes to watch the game, to take on information, to be able to make decisions. So vision of the game or seeing the game is like really, really important. So in our drills, are we emphasising what the players actually need to see? Because there might be a lot going on. So in your drill, you might need to kind of guide players a little bit to, hey, let's make sure when we're doing this 2-on-2 drill right now, we really look at. Right? If they don't happen to have it by themselves, like that's kind of your call. But I guess vision is where it all starts, right? Before you choose to do anything else, get your eyes open and look at stuff. And then the next thing is the talking. And one of the things that we're really trying hard, I should have introduced him, but everyone knows him, but Terry's going to help me tonight with the clinic. So Terry Brunel, our fearless leader at the Rams. We're working at training on kind of replacing some of the traditional like phrases or things that the players would say and moving away from telling everyone what you're doing to either use a label or tell players what you need them to do. And there's a bit of a difference there. So a classic one might be in the game, you might be driving towards me and I'm playing D over here and I'm helping, and then I choose to rotate to the ball. I just think you've beaten your player and I come over. So if I go to you, then someone else needs to rotate. Maybe I've got a player over here that's closest to get to Terry. So instead of just saying, got your help here, I've got your help here, well that's good. Your defender's got to process that there's help. There's a couple of tenths of a second of that cognitive process to think about what's being said, process it. What does that mean to me? So instead of doing that, I'll tell my teammate, Pete, drop! Pete, drop! So just tell the person what you need them to do. And by habit as coaches, we're actually not used to that because we're so used to just trying to get players to just talk. So just say at worst, just say what you're doing. At least talk and say what you're doing. You got help here, you got help right. Bring him here. Like, that's directive, bring him here. Or help right is, you got to process that you got someone here. So it's been a fun challenge anyway. We don't have it perfect, but it's interesting. So a classic one is if you kind of rotate and then you want to tell a player to either get back in or get back out. Get out to a shooter, get into a roller. So even stuff like that. Out, out, out! Using visuals and verbals and really short, succinct words. So we've even changed some of the labelling to try and make it like one-syllable words and stuff like that. Question. Everything that we do with our communication to try and shave off tenths of a second, because the players you play against are really bloody good. They're really talented. They make plays. So yeah, anyway, we'll see how it goes by the end of the season. Has anyone got any thoughts on that, the seeing part and the talking part? It's really quiet. I hope I'm not putting you to sleep. Oh, everyone's deep in thought.
I think a lot of point guards have always done that because they've been deemed the lead on the floor, but maybe some of the other positions have not told people what they're going to do next, what they want to do next.
Yeah.
I think it's important that you try and get your bigs to talk more, because they're the ones that are actually, if you're going if they're going into a half-court defence, they're the ones that are usually running all the way down, setting themselves up, turn around. So that's,
The player with the best vision is the one that probably should be talking the most, because they've got the most vision. Yeah, absolutely. And it's shifted so much now because there's so much. Everyone plays every spot and inside-out game, and so yeah, it's pretty important. So the third step of that is obviously if you've seen it, you've seen something, you've made a decision, and you're communicating it, and so now obviously it needs to be action. So your capacity to action that cue or action it, and then whatever you choose to do, whatever your action is, or you've asked your teammate to act on something, whatever they do, there's obviously a reaction that complements that. So the old like pick and roll, I'm chasing through a screen, and now I tell a big, hey, get out! So I'm communicating it, I'm telling them to get out. So they know that their temporary help's been good enough, and now they can get out. And then we keep moving on, so action, reaction. So the STAR sort of acronym is something that we created to upset my wife, and it worked really well. So another story about that, see Laurie about that, it's actually quite funny. But, so yeah, we're just trying stuff like that. So, all right, let's get into the clinic. How you going, girls? Good job. So we're almost there. I might as well talk about it now then. So one of the other things, it's an offensive thing, even though it's a defensive clinic, it's just an example of communication. So what's a practical example? For those that have been around and seen me do this before, 4 stages of decision making. So if I'm part of a screening situation, so a pick and roll, an off-ball screen, it doesn't matter what the screen is, but whenever I'm involved in a screen, if Alad was coming to screen for me and I'm standing here and I'm a shooter, Alad's going to come down the screen for me. As the receiver of the screen, my decision making, should I use it or not? Well, the first thing is I need to read mine before I read his, or mine over yours. So read how you play. So if Adam gets out here and denies me, like if he come and just jump out and deny, and the ball's up there somewhere, and Alad's trying to screen, if I get fully denied and the basket is over there, what's my read right now? I'm trying to go that way to use the screen, but he gets in the road and blocks me. And the basket's just here where the... What's that? Yeah, like back cut. So, good denial, mate. Good job. Thank you. Another one of our Rams coaches. So, before this action unfolds, I can always reject it. So, as the receiver of any action, any screen, what do we do with pick and rolls? What do we teach our pick and roll kids? Reject, reject, reject. Like that beats almost every coverage. So, rejecting a ball screen before it unfolds. I'm about to receive that screen. Rejecting it's stage 1. Rejecting a screen off the ball is stage 1 of the decision-making process. So if you can chunk up the decision-making and get players to slow down, then you can actually start seeing the game and making better decisions. So I can reject it, or if I then choose to use it, the screener obviously, so if Alad goes to come and screen, but his defender jumps out getting ready to switch, he'll slip it, he'll slip the screen. So the screener can reject the action as well. So receiver or screener in that sequence can then reject it. But if he sets his feet for the screen, he hands it back to me like, now I'm going to use it. I'm the user of the screen. And so the third stage now is I will use it however I need to. So I'll look at mine. Hey, am I getting chased? I'll go over the top. They go underneath it. I'll pop out for a 3. So your action, I act on it. And now whatever I do, you're going to react. So say I curl hard off it to the basket, then Alad might pop out. Or if I pop out, he'll dive. So the 4 stages, and you've got to go really slow, like walk through stuff so kids can see each little chunk, assess the noise, the environment, and then get practice actually the decision making. So rejection of the action, rejection of the screen. If you set it, then you act on it, and then you react to that action. So that's something that we've been working with. And so the last part of it would be to close it all, to bring it all together, hopefully, with a big finish. All right?
So do you want me to have the girls warm up?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. Good session, girls. So the last part is, if I was using that screen, as I assess what's going on, I'm processing that information. I'm going to do whatever it is. Say I'm going to cut off it for a 3. I've made that decision. So am I better saying, I'm straight cutting, I'm curling, I'm whatever. Am I better saying to my teammate what I'm doing, or just as I'm about to do it, dive! I tell my teammate what to do. And so if I can shave a few tenths of a second off offensively, then maybe our offensive actions become more explosive. So again, we've been practicing that as well, about tell your teammate what to do to try and increase the response times to put the D under more pressure. And then when you're playing D, hopefully reduce the advantage that the offense has. Does that make sense? Cool. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. Hopefully you see some of that in the drill. If you want to jump on these bleachers or get closer to the action, please do. I feel very far away. I know we're supposed to socially distance, but all right. Here we go. Okay, girls. How are we?
Good, how are you?
Good. Offense and D. White on offense, red on D on the wing. Quick. Here we go. And then offense and D in the post. We're just going to demo one quick thing, and then we'll get into training it. So just 2 on 2. Yep, that's perfect. I need a white on offense here and a red on D. And there's a girl. So I just want to revisit real quick. So I'm a pack coach, and I'll get into some specifics of how we close out and guard on the ball. But did anyone say that they like to send the ball like sideline, baseline? Yep. Okay. Do you have rules for how you like to guard the post? For time, let me jump in. All right, so let's say you're playing for Mike, so your job is to send it sideline and baseline. You're not allowed to get middle. You lose all your pocket money if you give up middle, or you get fined. All right, so there and there. So whatever you choose to do in your half-court defensive foundation, whatever you do on the ball, your rules off the ball need to be consistent. And so this is just an example to show you. So if I was, and this is the way I learned the game for 10, 15 years, and the way there's always sideline, baseline. So if we do that, play D on the high side, just start to walk it up the lane a little bit. Play D on the high side, get that hand out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Does anyone see a problem with that? If you play 3/4 on the high side and the post, is there an issue with that if you're a sideline, baseline coach?
You dribble baseline, feed it in.
What's that?
You just dribble baseline, feed it in.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got an easy passing angle. Maybe the post player just walks their player up the lane, creates a big passing pocket, or holds them off on a seal and you rip in and dunk it. So I guess the takeaway point is this. Whatever rules you have for on the ball, your other rules when you're building your system need to complement that. So to me, that doesn't. What would help is if you play, you can always front it, because maybe we do something with our help side, we really help over a lot, or just jump to the low side. So you can do, put 1 foot out, 1 foot in, so 1 foot out, 1 foot in, like that. So now, if you're doing your job and pressuring the ball in hand distance, got that hand up there, all right, spearing the ball, got to pass 1 defender, 2 defenders to get it there. So there's a big difference between the two, just by having a consistent rule in how you guard the post. So does that all make sense? We talked about it earlier. I just wanted to show a practical example on the floor. All right, girls, what we're going to do is to get you going a little bit. At 50%, we're just going to do some one-on-one closeouts. Okay, so we'll have a couple of girls over here. We might even use that end of the floor too. And this is all we're going to do. Basketball's here. I'll sub you out just for this first one. Offense, catch it, ready to be a threat. So he's going to flip the ball out, okay? And then as the ball comes out, I just want you to close out the ball and get your hand above the ball, okay? Hand above the ball. And your hands are going to guard the ball. So if you put the ball down into that pocket, I'm in here. If you rip it through, there. Right, so hands guard the ball. Your feet guard her feet. So feet guard feet, hands guard the ball, and then the third thing is your body guards the basket line. So where the ball is, if you draw that direct line to the basket, my body's just going to block that. Now this is a real specific thing for the Rams, and this is the way we're teaching it at the moment. And I think it's really important because the last 2 years I've been watching a lot of the high school games, What's something that happens all the time with offensive players? What do they like to go to if you take their shot away? If you're under pressure, what do players revert to under a bit of pressure? And it doesn't matter if it's been zone or man, every game I've watched, that happens over and over and over and over.
Try.
Their strong hand. So before you get into an elaborate scheme of sending base, sending middle, doing this, doing that, just stack your advantages up to your team, but just take them off their dominant hand until they can do something different. That would be my one observation. Okay, so we're doing it at the NBL level because it's exactly the same. So when we close out, my feet are going to guard feet. So I'm going to close out with my feet outside your feet, and I'm squared off. But instead of being directly in line with you, I'm just going to split your dominant side. So now my hand is automatically over the ball, so I can influence the shot, I can stop the shot. I'm not opening up to send you on your weak hand, because good players can still attack that lead foot. I'm squared off, and I'm splitting your dominant hand, and above ball, take a shot away, and then you get down and give me your triple threat and try and jab me in that. Boom. That's all we're doing. So for girls, all I want you to do is that, at about 75%. Just flip it out, hand above ball, feet guard feet. All right, try and guard some jabs. You ready?
Are they allowed to score?
No. Do it for like 3 or 4 seconds. Good question, bad coaching. All right, so for 3 or 4 seconds, just do it and then switch. We can get a pair here. All right, we can get a couple of pairs down there. Just spread it out, just get it warm again. All right, ready? Let's go. So there's no talk, because I have to say anything about talk, so they're not going to talk. So, but just have a look at their feet, because what we'll get to now is what we actually do when they attack on their dominant side. Let's take 3 or 4 seconds, then switch. Just get your feet down again. Good, let's go, next. Get outside. Here we go, good. 1, 2, 3, go. Alright girls, go a bit further out now. So start closer into the basket so you've got further to go. So throw it from about the edge of the keyway. Got a couple more steps, got to move a bit more now. Ready, go.
Meg,
Keep going. Yep.
you said it's like hands above the ball.
At least a hand above the ball. And the hand is the hand over the shoe.
Flipping away at the ball from underneath.
So when they catch it,
Yeah.
when they catch it, stop the shot. Or influence their vision. So some people say, oh, they're a shooter or a driver. That's getting into some nuances about scout. So, but as the baseline foundation is get a hand above the ball. So at least if they're not a great shooter, but they're a passer, if your hand's up, you can influence that. They don't get a direct pass. All right, so that's on the catch. And then if they rip it down in their hip, like get into it. So when the ball's down, hands are down. When the ball's up, you can put a hand on. All right, girls, just stop there. This is that drink break moment. Just stay there. That's right. For now. Right. So we get our coach's eye and we start. What do we want to correct? There's about 4 or 5 things straight off the top of my head. You just watch that. The girls are warming up. What would be 4 or 5 things straight away? If you're running the session, you go, I'm going to fix this, this, and this, or emphasise. Alright, talk about the first thing, okay? So by habit now, let's assume that it's 5-on-5 and the pass has gone to your player. You've got to tell your 4 teammates. They need to know that you've got the ball. So just as a habit, just say it once. Ball! Short, sharp. Alright, when you close out, say that you got ball. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
Alright, so that's one thing. Hang on, not done yet. What else? What else did we see?
When they pivot, they don't react. They're staying square the whole time. If they pivot backwards, they're going and attacking and
Okay. That's it. I'm going to come back to that in a second. That's interesting. Yep. Feet weren't guarding feet, which kind of tied in. Because the only teaching points were, and again, we're just challenging like the way I delivered stuff, like feet guard feet, hands guard the ball, body guards the basket line. I saw fair, yeah. So that whole thing about you can be super active and look like you're amazing, but you get blown by all the time. Well, that doesn't help. Now we're in rotation. So can you actually have activity with purpose and activity that influences the offense? So we'll coach the girls now. So girls, didn't give you much information because we wanted to see what it looked like. We're going to give you maybe 3 more things to really focus on. So can you hear me down there? Yeah. Good. All right. So Kate spot. So now, when we close out, okay, I'm trying to get down the stance. Okay. So when we close out, hand above wall, my feet are outside your feet. This is doing most of the work already, because I've already split the dominant side. I've shifted personally to now, I know I've stopped the shot, and if I put this player under pressure, I'm within striking distance, so if there's a loose carry, you can go at the ball when the ball is down. So when the ball's below shoulders, okay, you can dig at the ball as long as you keep your head, the heaviest part of your body, nice and centered and balanced. We don't want to reach. Why is that, girls? Low bar, I'm off balance. Okay, so you can be active with your hands, just keep centered. But I've stopped your shot, but I've also already done half my work ready to cut off your right-handed drive. Pardon me. So, no, yeah, all good. So it's triple threat. So I'm here. Now, if you go right, so I'll get you to do this, Kate. Because you've got your left, Kate's got her left foot outside. If the offense is determined to get on their strong hand, instead of gapping, we're already there. Short step, take a hit on the chest and cut it off and capture their dominant leg. So just do that, just do your little jab or your drive, bang. As opposed to drop step and they go through. So that's the reason why, one of the big reasons why we're teaching to close that out. Just stop the dominant hand and it'll be a massive positive domino effect on your defense if you can just limit the amount of drives. Now, what have you given up by hedging your bets against the dominant hand? The weak hand, but the angle of your feet, because you're squared off, you've already prepared for that too. So we're here, outside, I'm there. So if she goes, I'm already there, take a hit on the chest, capture it. Now she's got to go back, pivot, change direction. But if you go left, I can just slide and get it to my push point and I'm all good. So that's another reason why. Now that's the foundation. Now we can have scout adjustments and stuff like that. But that's the bare bones foundation on every closeout drill. So girls, throw it out now. Close out. The offense. You got 3 or 4 seconds using jabs, fakes, try and get them off balance, break them down, and you're allowed to use one dribble. Okay? You got that? This pair here, just jump behind. So we're only using one. You got one dribble, and if you can get past them, just get past them. That's all you need to do. And then stop. All right, ready? Go. Good. That's it. Flip it over. Keep changing. So make that skill on the far side open up. That top step. It's not a very complicated drill. I mean, it's just one-on-one. I'm trying to just reinforce the point of, I think, closing out with their feet, attacking their feet, so feet outside feet. Keep going, keep going. Feet, no, too far off. It's got to be influence the shot or the pass. Yeah, touch distance. Yep. Yeah. Oh, I think that's something you just got to actually really emphasise. We're going to do this today, we're really going to lock into our feet. I mean, you can do other drills, but you can fire and move forward, sit down. I think one thing that kids understanding, like getting them to close their eyes and start understanding what their body feels like when they, like if you do it and you just roll onto the bottom of your shoelace, and that part of your foot with your forefoot, the bit that can actually really help you see the main balance. So like kids actually understanding what their body's like, especially young kids with it tight through here and they fall over. So yeah, just actually, it's biomechanical, it's a big thing. And then the second thing is just aware about how that short step. So sprint hard and then slow down late with quick speed. Keep going. Hope they play up. Yeah. Go. Yes. I'm with you. I just think again they can't move quick enough. So match point of gapping. All right, let's talk about gapping. Let's go. Let's start. Big break again. Just wait there. Okay. Are we warmed up yet? Yeah. Oh, good. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So now, like when you throw it out, Maya, and you close out, so feet, pretty good, between the ball and the basket, hand above ball. Okay. If Kate got on, like maybe there was like, you did a little fake to the left and then you're getting ready to go on your right. When they go on their dominant hand, you can still gap if you want. I was just giving you my philosophy. I like to make contact with your chest and cut them off. But there's no problem if, so let's just do this. Might throw it out, okay? Just catch it and you triple threat, and then when you choose to go, you go and try and drive right. Okay, see if you can get there. So above the elbows, no problem at all. If there's a jab now, so now when you catch it, okay, catch it and look to do a little jab step right, and then I want you to guard it with a gap, right? So gap the jab step. Okay, ready? Oh, come back. Don't go anywhere. Really controlled, boring drill. Alright, so you can throw it out, and I want you to do the jab. Okay, and you're going to react with that little gap. Good. So if you do choose to gap, that's fine. And now you've got to crawl back into it and just adjust. So like either's fine, but the most important thing is that you've got a philosophy that limits the amount of times players can get on their dominant hand. That was the bit I wanted to emphasise. All right, let's get into some other drills now. Okay, stay go rings. Here we go. All right. Girls, jog it down here real quick. Let's go. We'll go wide on. We'll do it both ends. I'll just demo up here. So we've got Brett, what's your name? Billy, you got the ball here on the break, 3-point line. And Serena, that's right. So Serena, start on the side of Billy's body. Okay, you can get a little arm bar in here if you want. There's no refs yet. Okay? Alright. Somewhere between your first and third dribble, take off, try and get loud. That's all you've got to do. Okay? Now, Maya's going to be here, in the charge circle. And Kate, you come down here, just where this red curve is, and the edge of the keyway, just this little spot here. You can start here outside the keyway, okay? Alright. So your job is to try and get a layup, but if you can't get a layup, you do have a teammate which can only catch it in that spot or in the keyway. Okay? That's all I'm going to give you right now. White, do the best you can to come up with a stop. Play the possession out until you get a stop. Oh, stop there. False start. When can you go?
I don't know.
Oh, was it clear? Did you ask?
No.
Alright, so between the first and the third dribble, the offense will take off. When she goes and breaks the 3-point line, you can chase. Okay, bad coaching. Good, switch it over, quick. Wide on offense, red on deep, quick, on the rep. Okay, best down on her side. Start the keyway, in the charts over there, ready? Stop the layup. Good, go again, quick, keep alternating. Girls, just keep alternating, get 4 down there, just run the exact same drill. You guys can sub in, okay, just keep alternating, 2 on 2. We'll just see if we can get lots of reps in and then get the feedback. So what I haven't told them is like the big picture, right? Our defensive rules are made to stop layups. So players need context on like, hey coach, what do you want me to do? Stop the layup, stop the 3. So we did that in our pre-season meeting when we met with these players. Oh, we want to give them context. So we'll revisit it in a second. We'll just let them get through some reps to keep warm. So generally as a pack team, what's consistent with the pack philosophy is that you actually minimise rotations. So you sit in pack help, shrink the floor, knowing that you're going to get back and close out on shooters. But by being a pack team, you actually minimise rotations. Whereas if you're a denial team and you're pressuring passes, you'll be more prone to getting ripped on drives and back cut. So you're more likely to rotate, which is fine. If you're happy to rotate and you do lots of rotations, that's great. So in pack, you minimise rotations, but when you do have to rotate, you're good at it. Like that one clip where we had that breakdown and we ended up making South a big friend before they got the shot. So I'm going to ask the girls a whole bunch of questions in a second about what they saw, what they should say, all that sort of stuff, see how they go. Alright, ladies, stop there, Alright, quick set up the drill here. Let's go from this side, so the coach can see. Quick, 2 on 2. And we're just going to ask some questions, because we didn't give you all the information. Just start down in that corner there. All right. So obviously players have been coached this already, or been Eagles players, you know the language. So what is our objective on D here? Once you're beat, because she's got an advantage, right? You've got a little bit of an advantage at the start, you know when you're going, so you're a little bit behind. Okay, what are we trying to do, right? What's our objective? Stop any shot? Stop the layup. Awesome, yeah, the highest percentage shot. Let's stop a layup. Okay, so your decision making has to be around stopping the layup, either yourself or your teammate. Now, just in general, in the game, if you were beat, what would your coach expect from you? Yeah, absolutely. So even though you're a little bit behind, chase your butt off to try and get back in the play. And if you can't, and you feel like you're going to be fine, what's something that you can say to your teammate to help her? So if you chase back and you get back in the play, that's a lot to say. Are you going to have a little chat? Are you going to do that over a latte and order banana bread? No, I'm just been joking because they get a bit tired. So I got ball. That's still pretty long.
Stay.
There you go. So we call that labeling. One word describes a lot of stuff. Okay? Or at worst, I'm good. That's 2 words, but it's still quick. Okay? Because it's happening fast, right? So whatever you say has got to happen quick. And so you'll say that early. As you're chasing, if you feel like you're good, say it early. If you don't say anything because you're so focused on chasing down, trust your teammate's voice and decision. Okay? So if you don't hear anything early, you're hanging around, your position is helping, you're hanging around. If you don't hear anything, handing it over to you to make a read to stop that player. And so the girls know it's stay or go. Who coaches stay or go reads? Does anyone? Yeah. Alright, so what are the other factors though? So let's go in slow-mo. You're on her hip, and we go in slow-mo at 50%, and slow right there. Just come back when you're on the hip still. What other factors, like what sort of support can you give the players around reading the game to make a decision on whether to stay or go? Driver's chest is a good, give them a visual thing. So if you're a help defender and you see the chest, at what point though? I'm not meaning to be smart ass, but here's the charge. So how much time, I'll put it this way, how much time do you need to react to that stimulus to then stop it? So if you see the chest, how much time do you reckon you need? If you thought she was beat, girls, and you saw her chest, when do you think you need to commit so you can actually stop the layup? Before the charge, you've got to be outside the charge circle to be a legal defender. The closer she gets to the basket, is that an easier shot for her? So you do want to meet her as much as you can early, but you've also got one other player to worry about. Alright, so let's now add a white. You're on D. Over here on the weak side, and Kate, you go to the weak side. You've got to stay below the free throw line extended. Okay, just to start the drill. Alright, so just to start the drill, if you catch it, you're going to catch it outside the three. That player there. Okay? Alright. So seeing the chest, I think as they drive it, halfway between the 3-point line and the keyway, make a decision. Because they're going fast, and so if you say stay, that's okay, but if you say go, now you've got some time, all right, to actually action it. Now, if you say go, so you start to go in slow-mo, and Maya says go and starts running at the ball, what happens?
Chaos.
Chaos? Yeah, a little bit of chaos. So if you say go, but you actually go really early, what are we giving up there? Yeah, you're giving up the layup, so what was the point of the coverage? Stop the layup. So in go situations, girls, you say go early, but you got a time when you actually go. Alright, so you don't come running out of kamikaze style and we make a little pass over the top and you lay it up, because the whole point was we want to stop layups. So let's rewind it again. So if this is Maya here, visualise me being Maya, okay? I'm here, go, and then beat the ball at the edge of the keyway or whatever you want to coach. Okay? Alright, so we've got 3-on-3 now. You know that you can only catch it outside the 3. Then after that you're good. You can do whatever you like with the bucket. Okay? You'll work in the paint, anywhere in the paint to get open. White. The drill starts exactly the same. Between the first and the third dribble, Red's trying to get a layup or an open three. Try and stop that. And let's play it to an outcome. Right? Play to a defensive rebound or a score. Ready? And again, same teams. Quick, go, quick, clear it out. Wait. One, 3 dribbles. So what's the clear issue right now? Yeah, the rotation. Anything else?
Go just can't get there.
Okay, red. I'm sorry, white. Your job. That's your job. Just to stop the layout. That's the most important thing. So, when we drive, and you say go, and you are going to go to the ball, which means you go to a rotation. Who's the most dangerous player in the gym right now? All right, you're back there. Who's the closest player to the most dangerous player in the gym right now? Yeah. So stop the layout. And then what can you do or say to help your teammate cover your butt? Where have you just left? Yeah. Next, the next most dangerous now is the person that's open. And this way, out, get out! Okay? Right, that's if you go. Now let's have a look at that again. Ready? Here we go. What do we got left? 2 hours? Stop the layout. Bang. Good. All right, rotate. Other team play. Now, girls, Terry, can you just figure yourselves down? Let's get through some reps here. Quick, let's go. Quick change every time. Oh, no, just go. Stay this in. Yep. Go again, that's fine. Was that the right decision? Why? Yeah. That was the outcome. During the process to make the decision, what did you see? Did you see a chest? That's a clue. That's a clue. She's driving, you can see her front on. That means the defender is not in the road. Okay, so that's a clue. Have a look for that. Okay, now ready, go. Yes, you do. Yep, good question. Quick, next rep, let's go. Mate, we'll get through some reps, and it's pretty good. 3 on 3 is quite easy. And it's actually not 100% game realistic, but we'll hopefully make it land in a minute. Oh, good job. Good job, D. Quick, rotate.
Would you agree? Communication is only absolutely necessary when there is a lack of information or knowledge.
Alright, girls, sort it out. Quick, reset.
White is on offense.
These really, I mean, even though this is an disadvantage drill, it's still really scripted, right? It's really controlled. And I don't really like, but really, like if it's not random and it's not dynamic, it's not game realistic. But I guess if you're trying to teach and say, we're at training, girls, we're going to do 10 minutes and we're really going to lock into stay-go reads, and today we really want to work on the cues of whether you see her chest or the angle of her drive. So that was the other thing we didn't talk about, was the angle of the drive. And if the players know that there's really just a couple of things you want to be great at, by the end of the drill, have we actually got better at that? Because there's 10 other things that we need to get better at. Plus the skill, do we pass and play off 2 feet? Do we have active receivers? Like, there's all of that stuff as well. But after 10 minutes of doing something, have you actually got better at the couple of things that you really wanted, you set out to get better at? That's important. Because if you go off on tangents, trying to coach everything, we've got to put out all the fires. So we'll hopefully in a second get to something a little bit more dynamic. See how it says it's scripted, this one rotates in, the next one goes like it's not. Like that is a real rotation in the game, absolutely. Alright, girls, why is it important? And can you hear me yelling?
Yep.
Good. Why is it important to talk? What does it do?
Helps us know what we're doing.
What's that?
Helps us know what we're doing.
Yep, even better, it builds trust. Trust is important, isn't it? You have a relationship right now, 3 on 3, you have a relationship on the court. So it builds trust, for sure. Helps you know what you're doing. So when you know what you're doing, you feel confident, right? So who likes to be confident and feel good about themselves? Yeah, absolutely, everybody does. Okay? Who likes to play well? Yeah? Who likes to win? So why the hell aren't we talking? If talking helps us in all those areas, all right, so let's go. Let's go. Let's communicate. And if you don't know what to say, stop it and say, hey, what should I say here? Right, ask questions if you're not too sure. Right, here we go. Good. Wait. Quiet. What closeout was that?
That was your closeout, sorry.
It's really hard to come back from that one, isn't it? Alright, I'm going to leapfrog right ahead. We're going to go to a 5-on-4 drill, and trust me, it's going to be ugly and chaotic, but hopefully it proves hopefully it shows a whole bunch of situations. Alright girls, let's do something hard. Good. Alright, 5 reds, get it around the 3-point line, spread out evenly. 4 whites, foot in the keyway. And then the 5th, we got 10, right? And then the fifth white player, come up to halfway here. You can hang out here with all your friends, right here. One foot in the keyway, so just below the foul, 1 foot out, 1 foot in. Okay. Right, the numbers are this, 5-on-4. So on offense, right, all those cool offenses that you run, it's all about trying to get a numbers advantage that leads to the shot that your team wants to take. Layups, get fouled, shoot open threes. Okay? So in this drill, you've already got 5-on-4. You have an advantage, right? Your job, with the best shots you can take, are what? Layups, beautiful, you're listening. Open threes are great for us. Get fouled. How do you get fouled? Yeah, attack closeouts, all right, when defenders are off balance and there's space, attack. Okay, so get the best possible shot you can. Pretty simple mission, right? You start the drill in 5 out, and when the ball comes in, you can play. The only thing you can't do is screen for now. We'll keep it simple where you can just pass and cut and drive, just no screening. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's the red's job. White, you have to buy time. You're at a disadvantage, because what happened was you were down there, you shot it, shot a horse's layup, and you still over the baseline, so they've got a fast breakdown, they've come down like this, so your teammates, there's 4 here, you've got to get back into play, you're allowed back into play on these 3 things. If a shot goes up, how will, sorry, what was your name again? Grace. How will Grace know if the shot's gone up? Tall, yes, alright. If the ball gets in the paint, which is allowed in the drill, or if 3 passes are made. Shot, paint, 3 passes. Okay? Turn and face that way. The view's way better down there. Visualise that basket. Ball going in the basket. We got that. So Terry's going to throw it in. Red, you know what you need to do? Yep. Alright, let's go, dude. Let's go, White. They actually did it well, because normally the one at halfway stands there all the time because no one talks to them, but the girls actually talk. Maybe it's because we use voice to demonstrate. Now Red's playing over boys. Alright, stop there. He's on D. Put your hand up if you're on defense right now. Keep your hand up if you don't like your teammate. If she's hanging out with her friends at halfway, did the ball get in the paint? Was there more than 3 passes? How does she know? Do you have a 10-second timeout, both teams? Now that you know the drill, all right, think about how you can be successful in the drill. And then Terry can't help himself, the other coach. Don't be shit. So there's this group that was really clever because they were like, oh, what can we say? So what would you guys say? If you're in the drill or you're coaching, what instruction would you give the D, the Q? short and sweet. Come up with a label that's one word that means everything. Instead of paint, three, whatever, counting, like in. Let's see what they do. Alright, here we go. Terry, who do you go? Ready? Okay. Alright, let's see who's got the advantage. Now, stop. Normal training session, right? So you see the first half an hour we're doing one-on-one and close out, so a lot more of what we were practicing a little bit of. In this drill on D, outside of all the stuff that's going on with the rotations or whatever, let's be really great at our closeouts. When you go to the ball, try and do those things. And what were they? What were the three things? Hand above ball is one. Feet guard feet.
Body guards basket.
Yeah, between the ball and the basket. Keep your body between the ball and the basket. All right, let's see how we go. Lots of energy here.
1
Okay, stay on offense, quick. Right, so they decided to count, right? They made the job hard. They count the passes. Skill errors, you know that's your passes. Good, I'm glad you got. Oh, Dwight, stay on offense. Now, listen up. Who likes to shoot it and see the ball go in? Your coaches do? No, they don't care about shit. They're all coaching defense. Right. In this drill, if you are open like that one there, shoot it. It's a free shot. It's a free shot. You get back regardless. Now, if it goes in, you get your 2 points. Actually, hang on, I'll change it. Shoot it, a wide open shot. Okay, because you're going to get it back regardless. It's an absolute freebie. So what does that tell you on D? Get your butt to the ball and take away open shots. Okay, because all they're going to do is shoot it if they're open. The coach is tall. Okay? Now we're going to score. This is the scoring. Our philosophy on D is stop layups. So when you are on offense, if you get a layup, it's worth 3 points. Like anything in the charge circle. Post-up layup, something in the charge circle. That's worth 3. Okay? Mid-ranges are worth 1 point. They're still a good shot if they go in, just not as good over time as a layup. And threes, they're worth 3 as well. Okay? If you make it, we'll make it 5 for tonight. Okay? Alright, here we go. First team to 10. Make it, take it. 10. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. Great D, and then she got her in her dominant hand, drove down, laid it up. Didn't make the layup. Just see that close out before though, like Hannah just drove right, so if you work the close out, you're already there, and you just take the hit on the chest, you stop that. Good. Go to offense, quick, we go. Quick transition, go. Alright, 3. Offense. What was the incentive when you're on offense? If you are
Open shoot.
Do I need to define what open is? You know what open is. Were you open then?
I don't know, I saw she was open, so.
Yeah, you're both. Oh, deflect the blame. I like that. Right. She was more open. I was going good to great. So, if you are open, shoot the ball. It is a free shot. There is no penalty whatsoever. And if it goes in, you get how many points?
5 points.
How many of those do you have to make to win the game? Now, you weren't lying to me before. You said you like winning, right? Or were you just full of it? You actually like winning? Yeah, okay. All right, take open shots. So the next open shot that is turned down, okay, it's a turnover. You've got to go play D. The other team has to go to offense. Now, normally I don't like to put negative things in there, but we need to hurry up and prove a point here. Okay, here we go. Take open shots. I think it's important we put like incentives in rules. Keep it away. Late contest. Just a fraction too late. You got there 1 step earlier, would have been fine. Wide on offense. Quick, transition. Hurry up, go. Lay different spots.
1, 2, 3.
Good. Keep it. White, keep it. Go. See, you know, he's had the tunnel doing like the nervous laugh because she, you know, like we got to build confidence for kids to shoot the ball. Good drive. Oh,
Cool, let's go.
Alright, stop there. Just go back. If we can remember, there was the drive from the far base and then we drove back. So everyone rewind and go back to exactly when that drive happened. Okay, you make the sound effects if you want. It's up to you. Back to you. Do the drive. Alright, so we didn't talk about this before, was the angle of the drive. We talked about if we saw a chest. No, we didn't talk about an angle, so you weren't there, were you? You kind of come over here a little bit. What did you do? Yep. Right. So if you're playing for the Rams, okay, or any team that I coached, if the ball, this is another guide, the angle of the drive. So when the drive is below the backboard, we're going to treat that just like it's pretty much dead. Okay, like the ball's been picked up. Because we don't mind if you just keep going a little bit underneath the backboard. As long as you're on her hip, we will live with the outcome here. But what hurts us is if someone cuts into like a dunker spot. You guys heard of a dunker spot? Right, so a dunker spot will hurt us. Okay, so we're getting a little dish off and a shot. Forcing another, you got a lot going on right now, don't you? Because if the pass comes out, so you standing there, does that help us? What can you do to make her life harder? Yeah, come up a little bit, and what does that do? She said create, because you say that to the coaches.
Create only one pass, but two. I mean, two, yeah.
Well, we know what you said.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, so that only allows one pass and not two options, so you're reducing her options. Good. Okay, and that's the natural pass. That's the easy pass in a dead straight line. That's slightly harder. Okay? So good answer, great answer. So taking away a bailout pass is really important. And so are you guarding anyone right now? Or is anyone in your area, or is there any threats to layups? So how many right now? 1, 2, 3 on offense, and a 2 is on D. Because this is a rotation drill, isn't it? It's a numbers disadvantage drill. So you're not guarding a player, you have responsibility. Stop layups, stop. Come out of there, used to work with chemistry and connection here. We've got these three, we've got 3. Okay? And then be ready to rotate the pass goes out. So you shorten your rotation. Now it's counterintuitive as the ball's getting driven at you to not help and actually go that way. Go away from the ball as it gets driven to you. Taking away bailout passes is a skill that takes a lot of practice and a lot of work, and if you can do it, it's fantastic. The one in the video was a subtle one where Toby Galuli just helped back and got a deflection. Players, if you're going to make a decision, don't worry about if it's right or wrong. Just make it, because if you do it with conviction and you're all in 100%, okay, we'll just react. So if you went to the ball, so go run all the way over there and go the other way. So you're in the middle and you went, what would you say? Loud and clear. If you went to the ball to stop the ball.
Go.
That means you're going to the ball and your teammate is going into a rotation. Who's the next nearest? Throw it out. Throw it out to somebody. So the next nearest player's got to take it, whoever that happens to be. Would have been you. Okay? And then try it again. Next nearest player. Alright, so girls, make quick, loud decisions. Don't worry if they're right or wrong, because for us it doesn't matter. It's all a big learning experience right now. Let's keep playing. Round of 10. Ready? Round of 3.
Hey.
Do we get the tape?
Yep.
Did anyone tell?
What's her name? So is Cass easier than counting to 3, yelling out paint, yelling out shot? Okay, I was just checking. Oh, good mate to make an extra pass. Skill level. Here we go. Quick, rotate. So I'll see in another training session. Hopefully we don't talk that long, but it's a coaching thing, so I want to get a fair few points as well. You got a handle? Oh, out of bounds. Turn over. Quick. Get height. Out of bounds. Let's go. Quick. So when you do these drills too, as you're like, well, what was the outcome? We were trying to get defensive communication and our rotation stay very nice to make another one.
Yeah, one on.
So you make it all just to miss.
See if they take it.
Might they take it and keep it.
It was right there.
Yeah, so they should have kept it, yeah.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Shot clock, there we go. Hey, we got the video camera girls.
Was she behind the back door? Did you need the help?
Alright. So, Terry's helping you with the decision. Yeah, maybe it was the wrong decision, but did you do it with conviction?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was all in. Right, so you made a decision, you committed to it. Teammates, what did you do? Did you react to Kate's decision or not? See, they always think they're in trouble. Just because coaches talk loud doesn't mean you're in trouble. Alright, you rotated, it was a go. How many extra passes did White have to make before the shot clock violation happened? 2 more passes. You made it. So you know the video before, that was really awesome, the example? That's what that was. You made it do 2 extra things, they ran out of time. Okay, let's go. Keep your talk loud and clear. Here we go. Shoot it, go. Turnover. Woo! Shoot that thing. Here you go, be a shooter. It's here. So maybe it's like you can't shoot the first pass or whatever, why is the coach just sets up 4 passes and someone who's wide open? Is that it? Yeah! Alright, good old, grab a quick drink. A real drink this time. That was go for something else before them. Coaching methodology and management of drills. So you've got clear outcomes of what you want, and if it's not happening, okay, what changes can you make on the fly? Because I think it's important as coaches that we're not stubborn, that we be flexible through the course of a drill, and we have the skill on regressing it or progressing it or shifting the advantage or disadvantage to help achieve the outcome if you're trying to work on it. Otherwise you just do drills for the sake of doing drills with really any, you know, what are you doing it for? You're doing it, okay, but do the players get to the end of that drill and go, yeah, we got better at that, or you know, we did it, but it was a bit inconsistent. So how can you actually measure progress if you don't have clearly defined outcomes of each drill that you want to get better at? So when we watched that just then, we were trying to work on the start process, which I talked to you guys about, but not the girls enough about. But we were trying to work on stay go read. So within an 8-minute block, was there any progress at all? I help you out, it wasn't fast, but was there any progress? What did you see?
There was louder, clearer communication.
Yeah, so that's a little win. Yeah. Yeah. What else?
Picking up the ball, the defence was 4 on 5, they got to the ball.
Yeah, and there was a change mid to incentivise what? Because what was the offensive skill that was lacking? You know, that was a defensive rotation drill. You're always coaching both sides of the ball. So do we want our players to never look at the rim or never look at a shot when they're wide open? So it was poor drill structure because the girls didn't demonstrate a confidence to shoot the basketball. So incentivise it, as opposed to, you know, eventually I penalised it, but incentivise it, make it worth more points. Because that's a mindset thing, right? And it makes the game way easier if kids develop their confidence as teenagers. If they can develop the confidence to shoot open shots over time, as long as it's consistent and they feel good about it. Absolutely. And then it also motivates them. If they know that at practice they get rewarded by taking open shots, they're going to go out and practice more because they know that they can do it, as opposed to, oh, I'm just going to become a screener. I'm going to go be a cutter. I'm going to, you know, hide behind whatever other curtain. Because, you know, everyone should be able to shoot a basketball. Okay, and maybe age, maybe not all threes at a high clip, maybe it's a mid-range and they work their way out with range, and so you change your scoring manipulations to not make the mid-range so penalised. So that's okay. If you're coaching the line of 12s or whatever, maybe it is, you know, mid-ranges are fine. If you just shoot a jump shot, an open jump shot, it's worth it. So always manipulating either the scoring system, the area, and so that was in one of the handouts. To change it, I think it was on the back page. Or there's that acronym on, that was in there, right? The coaching notes. The coaching notes, change it. So yeah, there's lots of ways to go. Just don't be a stubborn coach, and keep changing things accordingly to get the outcome that you're trying to work with the team. And then I think with players, if they understand that you've still got standards, it's not about whether or not they're coming in and out of drills quick, they're talking and all that. Standards is one thing, but actually setting up like drill structures and an environment that kids can actually feel good about and feel like they're progressing. So we got the 10, let's say 20 minutes left. Yes, okay. How about if there's questions? I'll hang around until I get kicked out, but if you got to go, you got to go. But just maybe for this last 10 minutes, anything that's not on script, if you want me to, like the kids, so we got 8 to 10 more minutes before you check in on social media. So, has anyone got any, do you want to, anything, rebounding, drill, whatever you want. If you got questions.
So defensive principle so we know how to close out, how to play on the play whenever the jab step we're looking for it. What if the player takes a step back to active dribble? Are you encouraging the same sort of thing?
So me personally,
yeah.
And I don't have that colourful style of play thing that I put up there, the words on the left, aggressive.
Yeah.
I would hope that teams feel like when they see us play that we're an aggressive team. So the answer would be, we'll stay into the ball. Now, as you get further out, and you fade it, and it'll be a little bit like, say the ball was in the post and you trap the post. That whole question, do you stay in the trap if they start to exit out? Totally the coach's call. But I think you need a position on it so the players know what the foundation is, and then you can manipulate according to scouts or whatever. So yeah, I would like retreating out of a trap, stay in it. You know, they pull the ball back, they try to stretch it. It just means you, because again, as a pack team, you don't come out off the ball. You sit in the pack. You got a bit more area to guard, but you kind of back yourself to do that.
How much work do you do on your screens? On-ball, you know, on-ball screen, going over, under, using, you know, so in a practice, how much time do you spend on that sort of?
Hopefully a fair bit. So on the ball D, off the ball positioning, rotations on dribble penetration at the same time as we're doing receiver spots. So I always yin-yang it with whatever the defensive rules are. We're putting the offense in at the same time to manipulate that. So we focus on active receivers while we're working on stay-go reads. And then when you get to screens, we have one foundation way to guard screens, whether it's a ball screen or an off-ball screen. That's like the stock standard, and it's a moderate coverage that we can always turn into trapping if it's a ball screen, or we can get more conservative. So, and we're not going to change that a whole lot, but we have one way to guard a screen as our stock standard way to do things. There's the one caveat, which is a chasing switch if things happen. Because things happen sometimes. People get away with moving screens, things like that. So you can chase, and if you get in trouble, you can switch it. But I think just getting great, it's that whole thing, like, short of giving away the only thing I've never really given out is like my end of game situational, I call it the Bible, but the thing that I've been accumulating for the last 20 years, it's kind of a bit precious. Everything else I hand out, I don't give a rat's ass if bloody Zika or Brent or whatever. Any of the other coaches know what we do. Because all it does is drive you to become better. So yeah, so I always go with the thing of like, we'll keep it simple, we'll get great at the one thing. And if we're not doing it, it's because something, right? Lack of effort, lack of understanding, wrong players out there, some little breakdown. So coach that. Don't keep changing the players around. Like, that's the stuff you coach. But I think for the course of a season, you definitely need to be able, it's like when you're playing an offense. You may be an up-tempo team, but you definitely need, there's moments in the game where you've got to slow it down, and you know, maybe you've had a whole bunch of quick shots or a couple of turnovers in a row, and you just want to just wrestle away the momentum from the other team and slow it down. So like tempo control on offense, a little bit like screen coverage, is in moments in the game where you can ramp things up for one possession or a period of time. Personnel, again, at our level you can scout, so that maybe there's pick and pop big, so you've got a different, that's when you go, okay, so right now, this next period of time, we're going to change our foundation coverage to this. But yeah, I don't have like 5 or 6 different things that we do. I'd rather be like a master of something than just a jack of all trades that really doesn't achieve, isn't great at any particular thing. So, what else? Is there anything else on the floor with the girls there? Is there anything? Favorite drills, a burning question.
So like offensively, you'll coach and you'll try to get charge circle scores and 3-point shots. Defensively, what sort of are you to you? Is it you're just trying to want to get the mid range? Is there a certain spot on the floor where you're trying to force them and you almost want to bait them into shooting mode?
Yep. So I think when you're above the break in the 3-point line there, all the way around the horn, whenever there's dribble penetration, and I think Mel's got a really good diagram that talks about the angle of penetration. So pretty much if it's one-on-one and a player blows by you, that's red, right? It's not a good job. You know, no coverage in the world is going to successfully stop that if you get blown by all the time. So you kind of got red. So if I'm standing here, any drive inside the backboards as I go by the player, red. No one's got a rule that stops that consistently. Getting them just outside the backboards, from here maybe just above the white hash, that's kind of the orange. And then if I got pushed above the elbow or to the short corner, that's green. So you can obviously use video or markers on the floor to give feedback on the angle at which you can push a ball. So that's push points. Is that the whole east-west thing? And again, as a foundation that's always take away the dominant hand. Now, just because it's easy because I'm here, say I was a left-handed player, so this is my shot right here. If I closed out, in our normal rules of passes made, and I closed out like this, hand over that left-handed shot, and I sent them this way, our players wouldn't be wrong. If I push them up above the elbow, that's a good job. If they go in through sort of the mid-post area there, it's not great because that's still an advantage. But because even though they're a lefty, if I closed out and I sent them by hands and I sent them to the corner here, or I clamped them in the corner, that's not wrong either, because in this situation, I only got to guard one step. So they may be on their dominant hand, but our rule behind it is what? The area below the backboard's the red zone for us is the dead zone. So the rules that sit behind the closeout are consistent with what we're teaching on the ball. And so there are some other factors. It's like tonight that was just a stock standard thing we close out that way, but there are areas on the floor where if you send them to less space, if you've got to guard less space in that situation, you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that. So I think that's really important too. And then the other one is wherever your help is. So if you've got a right-handed player here, ready to shoot it or go, and that's a non-shooter, and I'm here, and I just want to move my pack in even a little bit more. Hey, send him this, got you here. That's not wrong either. Even though they might be on their dominant hand, that's where the help is, because there's a lot of space to the baseline. So help defenders can also trump what happens on the ball because they see more. So there are other layers to it, obviously. It's not we quickly rush through the first thing. So the type of shots, though, we're stopping layups. And so we're stopping layups and we're taking away, and with the closeouts, people get a bit confused because the number one criticism of Pac D is coaches fear that they give up too many threes. And in the modern game, because so many people can shoot threes, they worry about that. That's a coaching thing. So if you coach the pack well, you will defend. It's the type of threes that you give up. So it's important that you teach closeouts and players understand. Actually, the one thing we didn't do. Girls, can I have 2 whites and 1 red real quick? I promise. We've got like 2 minutes left, or about 15. Well, quick, here we go. Now grab the ball. You go help here. You're here. In case you play, you're the pack help defender. You're playing D here. So this was again an oversight. I should have put in earlier. What are we teaching when you're an off-ball defender and Maya's got the basketball at the top and you're dribbling it, you're in the game, you're dribbling it, and then you start to come this way. Alright, so what's going to happen is Maya's going to throw it, and I just want you to close out. So go back, we'll do it live. Alright, so stay in pack, she might drive it and go down the lane. So you stay in, ready? Good, freaks. What are you coaching Kate's position on D? What are the cues you're coaching? What does she need to see to act? She's seeing the ball and her play, yep, so vision of both, yep, so she's seeing that.
You're looking for the pass to be released.
Yeah, so is it air time? You're waiting for fingertips?
Yeah, well, motion of passing.
What's that?
The motion of passing, which begins.
The motion of passing? What do you reckon? Maya's got it, quick. She's dribbling the ball, she might drive it, but the second she doesn't drive it, When are you going? Yeah, when she picks the ball up. She's not going to wait for the pass. She's gone. She's out of there. She's already 2 steps into it, and so arrive on the catch, hand above the ball. So I think we didn't do that drill, but that's a really good drill to train decision making. So vision, all right, and then ball, yell out that you're taking the ball. All right, so actually practicing, because that's a skill. Like that's a skill in itself, is when do they react? And so training reaction times is a big one as well. So go on the ball pickup, not on the pass. It's too late. So again, when you say like pack defense, you're worried about giving up threes. Well, that's because pack hunters don't release quick enough to get back to shooters. Now there's a bit more to it because this player can move, and that might be Kirk Penny, you know, lining up there. So you may go earlier, and so now I've got to communicate. Hey, it's you, it's all you. So that might mean if I say it's you, that means it's one-on-one. I'm giving you less help. So there's language that you can put into your rules. So players know whether they've got a help defender really sitting in longer, or that pack hunter is going to go early because they've got to take away a 3 ball from Tom Abercrombie. So like all of that, they're the other layers that add to it. I guess if you're starting to coach a little bit older players, and like you need to have answers for that. But you've got to start somewhere. You've got to have the big picture, and you've got to start somewhere, and it's got to be simple. And then you can evolve it as your kids get better. And then the last one is, girls, this is it, I promise. All right, before we get into the 30-minute warm down. All right, now another red. And another white and red. Quick. Only walking, we're not going to do one-on-one full court, it's okay. You've got the ball here, so white's on offense with the ball here. White's over there. Okay, you've got the ball there, Hannah, so you play some D. Right, so all we're going to do is throw the ball. Close out, so where would you go? Pack D, so about, big chunk, big step inside the 3-point line, see both. Okay, there. Right, now, what do teams do against packed teams? Offensively, what do they like to do on offense when teams really sit in? Flare screen. So as soon as that pass made, you're going to come into this elbow area and look to screen. Right here. So right now, the flare screen adds a whole other level of decision making, because your job is guard your player, your position where you're standing is helping Cash, who's on the ball, pressuring the hell out of the ball, and now all of a sudden you've got a screen coming. So pack positioning is about when the ball is live, okay, and the floor is spaced. When a screen comes in, a screen trumps pack positioning. And so now, Kate, because you can see everything, right? You can see your players about to screen. Screen! Over! So you come out of pack, because you need to get to there, and even if you start to drive a little bit, you need to release to get over to that shot, and now we've got a deep pack defender. Okay? And so again, it's hard. Obviously, there's 5-on-5, there's more players on the court, but I guess the point I was trying to make is if teams start screening, which they do, you go from pack help, deal with the screen. As soon as the screen's dealt with, get back into pack help. So in one possession alone, you could be chasing through screens, back into pack help, back into guarding a post, back into chasing a screen, back into pack help. So the pack thing is not about just staying still in spot and spaces and kind of zoning it off. You've got to be active, and you've got to, being a pack team still means you go up with pick and rolls. Pick and rolls trump pack deep. Okay, so I just want to make sure, because that's another, I hear a bit of confusion when people kind of hear that term. Pack D is just in the context, like it's an overarching concept of defense, but it's also when the ball's just positionally, when you can play the ball positionally and you're not dealing with screens, but teams run all screens. So you've got to deal with that. All right. Good job, girls. I'm sorry, I'm going for hours, but it's been, you guys, yeah, I'll hang around for a little bit and have a chat, but can we put our hands together for the players? Mate, that's all I had. Well, I don't. I've got about another 2 hours of stuff to cover.
Right. Well, if we can put our hands together for Mick, thank you very much. That's actually for Mel, not for you.
Is that white or red?
It's red.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know, is your contact info on those notes?
I have no idea. But
how comfortable are you with people contacting you?
That's all right.
Do we want to?
No, that's all right. I mean, you can have my email. I've got most people got it. There might only be a couple of people here that don't. So, again, I'm not great with it though. I can either answer in 1 minute or 4 days. It just really depends on how life's going, as you guys know. So, but yeah, absolutely.
From our perspective, from the CBA, If there are things that have prompted you to think, I want to know some more about this or something else, if you want to email me, we're going to do a couple more clinics during the year, so we're happy to provide what it is you're after as well. So just let us know, we can make it work. Some of the rep coaches maybe will present, won't they? We'd love it. Get out here, but we'll get more people involved, so we're delivering more of what you guys are after. But thank you very much for that starting base level and for helping the girls understand the importance of confidence and voice. So I'm sure anyone here that coaches girls understands they're important and what a big problem that is. So thank you for that. Awesome. Thank you much, everybody.
You can get the Rams talking.